Hi everyone, it's Lucy, and today we're going to look more at the TOEFL listening test. And specifically in this lesson, we're looking at lecture skill 8, function. Now in this lesson, first we're going to describe the test, next we're going to look at the method, and finally it's time for you to do some practice on your own. So the purpose of this lesson is to understand exactly how to complete the listening function question type. Okay, so how exactly do we do this particular task? Well, let's take a look. Now in this task you need to identify the function of a particular phrase. Now what we mean by function is why did they say what they said? Okay, so let's look at our method. Now, as always, our first step is going to be to listen and take notes. Remember that note-taking is incredibly important for the TOEFL test. And when you're taking your notes, you want to keep them short and sweet. Don't waste your time writing full sentences. Instead, you want to just jot down the key words and key ideas. Okay, now if you don't already, make sure you have a pen and paper ready because we're going to listen to the lecture. Okay, are you ready? Here is the lecture. Whether your ethnic background is a factor for determining your IQ has always been one of the most controversial questions regarding intelligence. However, the scientific community seems to agree on the heritability of intelligence. We can see much disagreement among scientists over whether racial differences could be responsible for our IQ scores. The inherent relationship between race and intelligence has always been the subject of debate, not only within scientific communities, but equally in the academic research as well. The part of controversy is centered on the definition of intelligence, and whether IQ testing is a proper way to measure it. Believe it or not, there are people who believe that intelligence may depend on the racial background, while others believe that it could be something else which influences the intelligence, and the debate goes on. Okay, so hopefully you were able to get some notes that are helpful for you. Let's take a look at our own sample notes. So you can see here that they've certainly kept the notes short and sweet. Now, some steps that you can use, some tricks, things like abbreviations. Notice they have ethnic BG. Well, BG is background. They have PPL for people, or intelligence is shortened to just Intel. All right, use whatever system works best for you. Now our next step is to read the question and listen to the sentence again. So remember, in this function part of the listening test, you have to listen to one particular word or phrase and understand why they said what they said. So let's take a look at the sentence and the question. Believe it or not, there are people who believe that intelligence may depend on the racial background. Okay, so our next step is going to be to eliminate any answers that are obviously wrong. So you want to think about why they said what they said, what's the function, and get rid of any answers that obviously don't match. So let's look at our question again. Okay, so once we've eliminated any wrong answer choices, obviously our next step is to try to find the answer. Now before I find the answer, go back, make sure you have an answer of your own. So let's take a look. We want to choose the answer that best matches why the speaker said what they said. And so what's our answer? It is D. He finds it unbelievable that some people think race can determine intelligence. Okay, fantastic. Hopefully that went well for you because now it's time for you to do your own practice. As I said before, if you don't already, get a pen and paper ready because remember that our first step is going to be to listen and take notes. Okay, are you ready? Here is your practice lecture.
I'm going to talk to you today about the beginnings of the Greek experience as far as we know it, and I should warn you at once that the further back in history you go, the less secure is your knowledge, especially at the beginning of our talk today when you are in a truly prehistoric period. This is before there is any written evidence from the period in which you are interested. So what we think we know derives chiefly from archaeological evidence, which is before writing, mute evidence that has to be interpreted and is very complicated and is far from secure. Even a question, such as a date, which is so critical for historians, is really quite approximate. It is subject to controversy, as is just about every single thing I will tell you for the next few days. These will be even more than usual subject to controversy, even the most fundamental things. So what you'll be hearing are approximations as best we can make them of what's going on.
Okay, now it's time for you to use those notes to take a look at the question, and you're going to have to listen to part of the lecture again in order to answer this question. So let's take a look at our question.
Even a question, such as a date, which is so critical for historians, is really quite approximate. It is subject to controversy, as is just about every single thing I will tell you for the next few days.
Okay, so were you able to eliminate any obviously wrong answer choices? Were you able to choose the correct answer? Okay, let's find out what the correct answer is. And the correct answer is C, to support the assertion that the study of ancient history can be inaccurate. Okay, so how'd you go with your own practice? Hopefully you went well. If not, take some time, do some more practice, work on those note-taking skills. And thank you so much for watching. Remember that if you have any questions, don't be afraid to check out our website at e2language.com. Thank you again and see you next time. Bye.